breathe in, breathe out. You keep me alive. You are my passion for life.
Hello, and welcome to Passion's Supernatural Podcast, the podcast where we discuss what we consider to be the best soap opera ever, Passions. Every Sunday at 2 p.m., we air exclusively on YouTube. We're free, people. You don't have to pay a dime. We are on YouTube. And here is where we discuss everything to do with Passions, whether it's magic or demons or murder or mystery or whatever, dolls or whatever, you name it, or whatever you want it, we got it. Harmony Passions galore. Hi there, I'm Joe Velasquez, host of this show. Along with me is my lovely co-host, Casey Metcalf. How you doing, girl?
I'm getting tired of this cold weather.
Yeah.
Winter is my worst season ever.
It is very cold out there. I have to agree. I'm cold just sitting here by my window and it's closed or whatever. But yeah, it's very cold. But hey, everybody, we have a special surprise for everybody today. Something that was kind of like, I don't know, maybe like a 2 day ago, a minute edition or whatever. As I say, every weekend when we air, I always say to you people out there, even if you're not an actor on the show, that's okay. If you just happen to be a Passions fan who just had a history with the show, liked it, loved it, adored it, whatever else comes after that, the word just goes on forever. We would love to have you on here to just talk about your experiences with the show. Well, guess what? We got somebody. Everyone, we have a special guest today of this lovely young lady, Acacia Quaintance. How you doing, sweetie?
Hello, I am doing so good. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
We're glad to have you here. This is really great. You're literally like our third guest, our first fan, but our third guest altogether. So yeah. Yeah. So now we actually have somebody on here to talk about her experience with the show, as well as Casey and I and everything. Because once again, like always, Casey and I, we always, we are currently watching the final season, and some pretty spontaneous things have happened with the episodes that we've watched and everything. We'll get into that in a little bit. But first, I think we ought to know our guests a little bit. Acacia, sweetie, you wanna tell us a little, like, give us a little backstory about yourself, your history with Passions, anything you're comfortable with sharing, would you?
Yeah, so my name is Acacia. So I am from Ohio. I am a therapist full time. My experience with Passions. So I started watching Passions when I was like 13. It was like 2004. I was like flipping channels. It was June, I think. So it was summer vacation. And I ran across, it was Chad and Whitney. I think they were like hooking up or something. But Brooke Kerr, I had seen her in like little like kind of bit parts and like guest starring roles in different like sitcoms and things like that. And I remember always thinking that she was so pretty. And I was like, oh my gosh, like who is this actress? Seeing her on this soap opera, I was like, okay, like what is this soap opera? And I think the next scene was something with like Ethan, Teresa, Gwen. And I was hooked. I was like, oh, I love this. I need to know about this love triangle. What's happening here? So I just started watching it all the time. So it came on at like, I think 2 o'clock every day. I was in school. Well, once school started, I would like record it, VHS. I'm old, obviously. VHS record it. My mom loves soap operas. So like, I kind of already had like the soap opera bug. Like she had her VHS tapes for like all my children. One Life to Live, exactly. So then I had my VHS tapes with my Passions on there. So I stopped watching it after a couple years. I think just school got busy. I was in high school at the time, so like school got busy. It was probably around the time, I think it was, I know that Vincent was in it, but also I know like Teresa, it was like shortly after Teresa married Alistair. I was like, oh, I can't, like, this is like pissing me off so much. I cannot deal with this.
Yeah.
So, so I kind of like stopped watching around then. And then it switched to DirecTV. And I was like, okay, like, I used to babysit these kids and they had DirecTV. And so like when I would babysit, I would like try to like watch it, but it was just so much was happening that I was just like, I don't, who are these people? I don't know what's going on. I just let it go. And then like a year or so ago, I just thought about Passions one day and I was like, I wonder if this is on YouTube. And I found a channel and I have been watching it ever since. And so now I'm back in like Passions obsession. My husband is like, a soap opera, like really? But yeah, so love Passions. I run a TikTok, Passions Obsessed One, on TikTok. So I just post like
For that,
little
Casey.
clips and facts and things like that. So yep, that's me.
Yeah, wow. I mean, Casey and I, we can really relate to you about like how our families liked these soap operas as well. I mean, my mother was always about All My Children and General Hospital or whatever. I mean, Casey, I believe you got a little bit of a backstory with your liking, with your family liking soaps, don't
Yeah,
you?
my mom used to watch Young and the Restless, the other soaps, Bold and the Beautiful, Guy and Light, and she used to watch it every day. I used to watch it with her every day because I was living with my mom then. And, you know, since she died, I quit watching it because it brings me back memories. And she's been gone for 10 years now, so yeah,
Yeah.
I've been you know, a Passion fan. My mom hated Passions. She used to hate Passions because it had witchcraft in it. She's like, "Why are you watching this witchcraft, Mom? I'm not into that. I'm into the love scenes, the
Yeah.
love stories." She's like, "Okay." She thinks. Yeah,
And
witchcraft. My mom was a big Christian, she had faith in God and all that. She thinks witchcraft was bad, and
and was
yeah.
it you, Casey? I don't know if it was you or if it was somebody else, but wasn't it you that actually said that you were named after somebody from a soap?
From Guy and Light, there was a Casey on there. My mom was supposed to name me Samantha, but when she watched Guy and Light, she changed my name to Casey.
I love
Oh,
that.
you
Okay.
see,
So my middle name is Gabrielle. I was named after Gabrielle Medina, from One Life to Live.
Yeah, for how much I mean, I do know of a number, like one or two of the couples from Guiding Light, and I never watched it. And sadly, I guess I'll never get to watch it because you can't find it anywhere other than clips. But One Life to Live, I know nothing about. So,
Oh yeah, no,
eh,
it's and
also,
mhm.
I met, Ron Moss from More Than the Beautiful. Ron Moss, Spectre, I think.
I would have to look them up. I have never watched The Bold and the Beautiful. My grandma loved it, but I never watched it.
I never
Well,
watched it.
I went, like, I think it was back in 2010 or 11. I went to a concert with my ex-boyfriend and his friends to the Blue Ash. Well, he was singing there. He came up to me and said, "Oh my gosh, is that Ron Moss coming up to us?" So I asked for his autograph and I called my mom up. "Hey mom, guess who I met?" And I told her I met Ron Moss from More Than the Beautiful. He was a single too. He sings too. So,
That is awesome.
and I took a
Yeah,
picture of him and me together. And I remember that.
That's so cool.
And
and
I
as you
gave the
saw,
autograph to my mom.
and as I showed you, yes, I've met both Galen and Eric or whatever. I mean, I only have a picture with Eric. Galen, I pretty much just have videos and pictures from afar. I don't have any actually with him, but yeah, I've met Eric in person twice. In person twice. I've met both of them several times on these Zoom um meet and greet like things or whatever whenever they're doing something to do with Days of Our Lives or whatever. I haven't had the money to attend them recently, so I've been kind of out in the loop a little bit, but Galen and Eric have done quite a lot of those like cocktail parties on Zoom where there'll be a few of the Days of Our Lives cast members. I'll be honest with you, amazingly, it seems like not 100%, but I would want to say at least 97% Eric is almost always there. It's like every single time they have different Days cast members, Eric is always there. Galen only once in a while, but Eric is like, man, it's almost every time you see an advertisement, Eric is always going to be there. So he really likes this apparently. But yeah, and so I mean, I've met a number of actors from Days of Our Lives thanks to those Zoom things that I was just talking to about, and I've gone to like 3 autograph signing, like book signings or whatever and stuff like that. I've gone to like 3 of those or whatever, like one in Chicago, one in Naperville, which is not too far away from where I used to live in Illinois, and one with my roommate back when we were married out there in New York. And so I've met a number of Days of Our Lives actors through there, but unfortunately, just Galen and Eric from Passions is all I've met from Passions. So, I mean, I mean, don't get me wrong. I've spoken to a few Passions people on the phone, as you and I were talking about, as the 3 of us were talking about before. I mean, I called Lindsay. The call wasn't for very, there's little Casey's baby that she loves having on with us.
This is Hazel.
Oh,
she loves having her little girl a little one on the show.
I got 2 cats.
that's awesome. We have 2 cats, Lilac and Lucky.
I unfortunately have no pets. I want them though. But as I was saying or whatever, yeah, I mean, I've spoken to Lindsay for like what can I say, like 2 minutes, something like that or whatever. I've oh God, I mean, I spoke to Margot Pilar just about a few days ago, but she was basically pretending to be her agent or whatever and said, let me take down your number and I'll pass it on to her. And all I could think to myself is, I'm not stupid. I recognize your voice and all that stuff. That's what I was thinking, but whatever. I gave her my number and that was that. And then like that. And oh man, I mean, who else? I already told you about Juliet Mills.
You talked to Spike too.
That's what I was actually going to bring up. Yes, that was the one I was going to tell you about either during the show or after the show. Yeah. I don't know if you've gotten to any storylines involving the character of Spike,
Yes.
or whatever. Yeah. Well, he is actually, oh my God. I might as well announce this to all of you people since this just well, actually, I think I already, I can't remember if I mean, Casey, did I tell everybody about my chat with him or I can't remember.
Yeah, you told me. Yeah.
But have I on the show? I can't remember. Well, I'll tell you all again, just in case or whatever. I can't remember if I told everybody on the show or whatever, all of you out there or whatever. I actually, on the phone, I actually did speak to Christopher Malecki, who plays Spike, and boy, is he the complete opposite of what Spike is. He is the nicest dude. Oh man, he loves to talk. He loves to talk. He will just talk several times. I won't go too far into detail just to respect his privacy, but I'll just say that there was like several times on the phones where he would say, I'll tell you this, but then I have to go. But then after he said that, he would just start another conversation or whatever. And then he would say it again. I'll say this, and then I have to go. And then I'll start another conversation and he'll just go on and go on and go on. He didn't want to shut up. He was just talking. I was like, I love this. He basically told me, he said, get your questions ready and we'll talk about it and all that stuff about appearing on the pod and on the show and all that. And he said that I told him I didn't want to come off as like a stalker or anything like that. He goes, no. I like you callers like this. I like you callers because if it wasn't for you fans, I wouldn't have a job. And so I like you callers. He was such the nicest dude. I couldn't believe it. And he said, call me up later in the week and we will discuss it. And I tried, I think it might have been, I think I maybe like a day or two after we talked on the phone, I sent him a text message and I asked him, could I call you sometime today and we chat? And he goes, call me later next week and we're definitely on. And I said, how about Wednesday? And he goes, what about Friday? And I said, done. And he gave me a thumbs up. So it looks like next Friday I've got a meeting with Christopher Malecki to call him up on the phone. And we might be getting Spike on here, people, you know? I mean,
That's amazing.
yeah, he's a very nice dude. I can't get over it just for how cowardly and crazy and bad he was on the show. Such a bad guy, and he's one of the sweetest hearts I've ever met. And so and like I said before we started talking, I did talk to Christy Ferris. You all of you out there who watched the show back then, she was Simone #2 and all that, and she told me to email her my podcast, and I did. She responded back and um she said um um she said reach out to me in March. I'm booked right now. Thank you very much for reaching out to me. Keep on doing what you enjoy and God bless. So once I reach out to her in March, we might be getting one of the Simones on here. And I guess really there's just really just one more that I know I haven't told anybody about this one. There's just been one more or whatever, because as we know, both, I guess the proper term for this is both human Alistairs have passed away. I mean, we lost David Bailey and we lost John Riley. So both human Alistairs have passed away. However, I did manage to actually get in touch with the voice of Alistair back when it was just the body and the voice. I did manage to get in touch with Alan Oppenheimer. I did talk to him on the phone. After I explained everything to him, he gave me a little laugh and then he goes, so this is a podcast invitation, right? And I said, well, yeah, but also because I thought this is a great way for me to meet one of my idols. Anybody who was on that show, I idolize, and I thought this is a great way for it. And he goes, well, I'm going to say this to you. I'm not going to meet you. And I said, well, no, you don't have to meet me. It's on Zoom. But he wouldn't quit talking to hear that. And he goes, I'm not going to do a podcast. Okay, so that pretty much just ends our chat right now and everything. It's nothing personal. I just have to be very, very careful with my safety and all of that. But thank you so much for your call and thank you so much for being a fan. Very, very nice guy. And we said our goodbyes, and he's the first person to actually tell me no. Everybody else is basically, it's either yes, I'll look into it, or just don't answer me. He's the only one that has actually told me no. So yeah, I mean, that's basically been, there's been, obviously as we were talking about, just like, you know about this, Acacia, that I message Mackenzie whenever she does her live stuff and all that stuff or whatever. But, and as I mentioned a number of times on the show to all of you viewers out there and everything, I haven't really spoken to these people in person, but one who I seem to really be, I guess the word is close because we speak. I haven't spoken to him for a while, but probably because he's so booked. But I do seem to have kind of this connection with Dylan Fergus, who played Noah. I do have something with him. I message him back and forth on Instagram a number of times and everything. For the most part, he almost always answers me. It's been a while though. I think he's pretty busy or whatever at the moment, but it's been a while since he's last answered me. But he's even said that he will definitely appear on the show. It's just got to do with finding the right time and everything. The last I heard from him was like November or December, one of those two. He said I'll definitely do the show, but can you reach out to me sometime in the new year? I am just very swamped right now and everything. I'm like, sure, yeah, no problem. I'm planning to try and reach out to him again in February because I realized that I had just messaged him in January and I don't want to come off as harassing. So I'll message him again in February and see. I heard like one thing. I heard maybe like one message from Heidi, the, K, the final K and everything. I heard like one thing from her. She tried talking to me about my depression and stuff like that, but then but then after that, before you know it, her and basically her whole family just blocked me and everything. And I don't know why or whatever. Her husband, her father, they all just blocked me or whatever. And so, but yeah, I think that's it. I mean, um I can't really think of anybody else who I've actually met in any way, shape, or form from Passions or whatever. But yeah, yeah. So yeah, I mean, I just that's been basically my thing with meeting Passions casts and everything. And I mean, everybody were just and I've already met, and you all know because you all saw we had Don Swaby on here and we had Danny Woodburn on here, so that's two people and everything. I mean, Danny unfortunately didn't stay for the whole show. He really only stayed for like about what 15-20 minutes, and then he had to go or something like that. And I was like, okay, that's fine. At least we had him. So Mackenzie also told me that when I message these people my podcast, I should show them that I've had these actors on there. That should really give them a boost, showing that I've had other actors on the show. So yeah, but um now, where to take it from here? This is always one of our issues, whether we have a guest. Well, I mean, again, you're only our third guest on here and everything, so we're fairly new to this. But a lot of the times, we just end up running into like, where to go with this now. Um, um, so so basically, I mean, so Acacia, you basically tell us that you um you only saw like little bits of the DirecTV episodes, right? You didn't actually see the whole show.
Now, like I've still like on Instagram and stuff, I think that there's a page that posts like clips and things like that. So like I'll still kind of check out.
You wouldn't by any chance happen to know the name of that Instagram, would you?
Oh gosh, I think it's like Passions Clips. So it's like PSSNS
Oh, I was
Clips.
well, okay, that's not the one that I'm thinking of, because I was gonna say, if you I think I do follow that one, but that wasn't the one that I was thinking of, because I was gonna say for a minute there when I asked you if you know the name of it or whatever, if you had said something else, I was actually gonna say that would be me or whatever. And so,
Yeah,
but no, that one's not me. But I do
yeah.
have a Passions Instagram. I do have a Passions Instagram that has a lot of videos and stuff like that on it and everything, but not the one that you were talking about though. So
Yeah, they just occasionally post. I mean, I think that they post fairly regularly, but they post on like Instagram and TikTok. So I've seen some of the final season. Like I've seen the last episode, so not the full episode, just kind of like the storylines that I really like loved.
Mhm.
So I know how like my favorite storyline wraps up.
Right.
Obviously, I won't give any spoilers or anything like that, but I know how my favorite storyline kind of wraps up.
Sure.
Um, but I haven't watched, like I said, I'm in the middle of my rewatch right now, so I am in the 500s. I think August of 2001. So Teresa and Ethan's wedding that didn't happen, was supposed to happen, has already happened. That sounds really crazy.
Right.
Their wedding that was supposed to happen that got stopped because of tabloid gate um, is just ending, and now Teresa's headed to Bermuda. So I kind of know what happens next, but I can't wait to actually see it. Um, so that's where I'm at with my rewatch. But like I said, I started watching it in 2004, so there are like gaps of time that I know something happened in, and I kind of know what happened because I've read spoilers.
Right.
But between where I'm currently at in the rewatch versus where I was at when I started watching it when I was 13, I kind of still all remember all of that stuff too. So So
Yeah,
yeah, so
like I said,
a
it's
little bit.
you and Casey, you both have been watching a lot longer than I have, or whatever. I mean, Casey's been watching it since the beginning. You started from what? I mean, I think you said that you started from the beginning, but then just stopped at some point. I think you said.
I
Isn't that
started when I was 13. I started in 2004, but now I've started from the beginning.
okay? Yeah, so you started
And
there and everything. Like I said, I honestly cannot remember when it was. The only thing that I can guess is that maybe it might have
I
been.
started watching it in 1999
The
when
very
it first
beginning.
came
Yep.
on.
Yep.
Yep.
The very beginning. I really, I think it had to be maybe 2000. I mean, the show ended in '08. Is that right? Isn't that where we are right now?
Yep.
Casey, is it '08? Okay. Then it had to have been maybe like, maybe '06. Maybe it might have been '06 or somewhere around there. Really, just it was whatever year it was that Heidi was playing Kay, Mark was playing Fox, and when he went by the name of Adrian was playing Miguel. And like I said, Kay chose Fox to marry, and then the battle between Fox and Miguel began, and all that stuff or whatever, and all that stuff. That was when I started. So while you guys started early, I came in late. I've missed a lot. So we may end up getting like look at Christy Ferris for an example. I don't think I even saw any of her episodes. So if we do get her on here, I'm not even gonna even know any of her time as Simone or whatever. I think the third Simone might have been on when I started. So
so when I originally started, the third Simone was on. I actually have just gotten to the episodes in the last like month or so where Christy Ferris is Simone. And I actually really like I think that she might be like my favorite Simone.
my favorite is the first one, even though I
Um
didn't,
I
even though
loved her too. I mean, I loved all three, but
sure, like I told you on the phone, I loved all the recasts. There were just some that I liked better than others. So yeah. Um, I just didn't like the writing of some of the characters is all. Some of the writings are pretty crappy. Casey would agree with me on that one. But
Hmm.
but oh, and I forgot to mention, before I forget this, I did forget to mention two others. I forgot. I also another one who I haven't spoken to for a long time, but I do get a message from here and there every once in a while, is probably my favorite female on the show, Silvana Arias Paloma. I have heard from her a certain number of times, not often, not as much as Dylan Fergus, but I have definitely heard from her quite a bit. And it's actually kind of disappointing because originally, when I approached her to ask her to appear on the podcast, she originally said, "Oh, definitely." But then once I got the podcast up and going, she unfortunately said she can't do it now because her job said that she can't. She said that her job won't allow it and all that stuff or whatever. She's got to follow her job's rules, and her job apparently says no podcasts and all that stuff, so she can't do it. She did mention that she would pass the word on, like she would get in touch with like Eva Tamargo and James Hyde and stuff like that, but I haven't heard anything, obviously. I mean, Casey here has heard from Eva Tamargo and everything, and
Yeah.
I mean, what am I talking about? Why don't you tell that, Casey? I mean, God, I'm doing all the talking over here. You talk.
Well, I got Instagram, so I went on new and I found Eva on new. So I messaged her and I told her about the podcast and everything. And she's like, "That's cool. Give me some details." So I did. I told her that we have a podcast for Passions every Saturday night and at 6, and I told her about it and she never responded.
Yeah.
So she read the message, but she never responded back to me.
And that actually happens a good number of times whenever I've messaged Philip ever since we spoke, Vincent, ever since we spoke on the phone. He's read my messages but has not responded. So I don't know why he told me to Instagram him if he wasn't even going to answer. But one more I forgot to mention that every once, this was back when I had Facebook. But every once in a while, no, I've never, again, my second favorite actor, one of my heroes, my idols, and one of my top idols. I've never actually met Blair Redford himself, the final Miguel. I've never actually talked to him, but I have on Facebook spoke to his father, I spoke to his father on Facebook a number of times and everything. He had actually told me a number of things about Blair. Say he actually like for an example, back when Blair appeared on the Lion Game, for an example that I told you about, Acacia, on the phone, I told you that that only went for 2 seasons and then it got canceled on a cliffhanger and all that stuff with like no ending at all, right in the middle of a storyline. It got canceled. Um, I mean, it was funny because his name was Bob and everything, and every single time people thought that it was Robert Redford, they all thought it was the actor Robert Redford, and I'm like, no, this is a different Robert Redford. This Robert Redford is not an actor, and and all that or whatever. But anyways, he explained to me like why the Lion Game got canceled, and he explained to me stuff about how Blair likes to go about his acting and all that kind of stuff, and like if he does have any social media and yada yada yada. He said that I remember mentioning to him that I noticed that when Blair took over Miguel, that he actually made the character his own instead of following Adrian and Jesse. And Bob goes, yes, that is very, very important to Blair, that whenever he plays a character, he makes it his own and stuff like that instead of trying to copy somebody else. That's very important to him. And this and that, and this and that. And he also told me that when Blair came into the role of Miguel, that any Spanish the character spoke, that was all new to him and stuff. He had to learn that specifically for the show. He does not speak Spanish and all that. But unfortunately, Bob Redford has apparently passed away and all that and everything. But I did get a little bit to talk to him and everything, and so that was really something to actually get to know. Like I said, Blair has become my second favorite actor ever after seeing him as Miguel. Once I saw him as Miguel, I was like, right after my number one hero, he's definitely my second. And so
Oh, that's
I forgot to
awesome.
mention them. Mhm.
Very cool.
Yeah, but nobody else have I really. I mean, I spoke briefly during one very, very heavy winter on the phone. I did speak to Kim Ulrich, Ivy. I spoke to her husband on the phone. Apparently he was driving and he was caught in a snowstorm or something like that or whatever,
Wow.
and he really didn't have time to like take down any information for me to pass on to Kim or anything like that. But I did talk to him for a bit while he was in a snowstorm. So I mean I got that. But so yeah, um I mean, Casey, I'll get to you in a minute, sweetie, but for you, Acacia, um from what you have seen so far, just from what you have seen, which I mean, apparently, I guess you've got a long way to go, apparently, but from what you have seen or whatever, got any favorite storylines so far?
I am super I love the Ethan, Gwen, Teresa. Like that was my favorite when I was 13. That's my favorite now. Um I look at it different with adult eyes now, like not 13-year-old eyes. Um and like adult like married eyes, and I'm like, oh, okay, like I guess I can understand why Gwen fought so hard for Ethan. Also, I don't think I would have. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, Ethan is super hot, but Ethan's super hot. I would probably still not go that hard for him. But I think that also the same thing can be said for Teresa. Like, I think at some point I would have just given up on him for both of them because Teresa, with her like constant plotting and scheming, and none of these plans like ever works out the way that, I mean, some of them, I guess, worked out somewhat how she thought they would, but then there was always like something messed up that would happen. Um, and yeah, like, and then Gwen like constantly having to convince herself that Ethan doesn't love Teresa, even though he very blatantly does. um,
Right.
yeah, so like, I mean, it's my favorite storyline. Like, I love all the plotting and all of the things, but I think that I would not they both are like gorgeous. They should have just found somebody else. My like the hill I will always die on is I wish that they would have made Gwen a little bit more like, I wish that she would have had more like friends. Like she was a great friend to Sheridan.
Yes.
And I wish that they would have given her more friends in the show, like brought in more, like just given her more like connections outside of Ethan, because like her whole thing was like, I love Ethan. I'm married to Ethan. I want to stay married to Ethan. I want to have a baby with Ethan. Like, love it. All great, wonderful. But like, I wish they would have given her more like friends. I honestly
Right.
wish that she would have gotten like like there would have been like a rival love interest for her, like someone who was like, no, like I want to be with Gwen. You know, like I honestly always say, and I think I've put it on my like Passions TikTok. Um, Gwen and Hank. Like I wish that we would have
Oh,
gotten a
everybody talks about
I
that.
wish we would
Like,
have got
I'm
a
like, where in
Gwen
the
and
world
Hank.
did that come from? I'm like,
Okay,
there was never any hints of anything of them on the show, and now all of a sudden there's like this shipping thing for
oh,
Gwen and Hank. I'm like, where did that come from?
no, because like there was like a few episodes while like during kind of like because I just watched them a few like a month or so ago with Gwen was talking to Hank about it was like right before um Ethan and Teresa's wedding, and she's like, Hank is like, you still love Ethan, don't you? And Gwen's basically like, leave me alone, like, just mind your business, basically. But I
Right.
wish that there would have been some kind of like, they would have been really cute together, and even some kind of rival for Ethan, because I think that when Teresa got someone, when like Jarrett showed up,
Yeah.
you know, Ethan's like super jealous and he's like, oh no, like I love you still, or I love you, you're destined to be with me, and blah, blah, blah. But like this whole time, like you spent the last like probably what 4 years, 5 years prior to that telling her, like, I'm married to Gwen. I love my wife. I'm gonna stay married to my wife. Like, so I think that I would have loved to see Ethan get jealous with a Gwen love interest too. Even if she was married, like she doesn't have to go for said person, but I think they could have given her
I think
somebody else.
I think pretty much. I mean, the girls obviously, but I think almost all of the guys basically had rivals at some point or another. Yeah, you mentioned Ethan and Jared and everything. Miguel had Fox. Luis had a little something, I think, when Sheridan married Chris, but I really don't know. I
And
really don't know.
Antonio, even his brother.
Oh, did he? Okay, I didn't really see very much of Antonio. I mean,
Okay.
I know who Antonio is, obviously. Yeah, I mean Christopher Douglas, he's another one who I have his number and all that stuff, but I just don't I didn't really know very much about, the character and all that stuff. I mean, I've seen a little bit of like the stuff of where he rescues her and everything, and then she ends up going by a different name and stuff like that, but I never really
Diana.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But I didn't really know anything about like any like rivalry between him and Luis. I didn't know anything about that stuff. I thought to myself that Luis might have had a little something with Chris, but I don't think it really lasted for very long and all that. And then even you definitely haven't gotten to um I don't I don't think any of this with Fancy, but you definitely have not gotten to this yet because it's not until the final season. Casey and I are at this part now, but even Noah gets a rival big time in the final season or whatever that me and Casey are watching right now and everything. I mean the character is on the show back when you guys were watching it and everything, but he was played by a different actor, and then he comes back in the final season to basically break up Noah and Paloma and everything and their relationship and everything, and that's what's going on right now. So like it's obvious that the girls had rivals, obviously, but I think the guys at some point, almost all of them had a rival at some point. So
I
I mean,
wish Yeah, like I wish that Passions was more like, I feel like they made a lot of like damsel in distress type writing with the women. Like the women were constantly like needing to be saved or like fighting over a guy. And
Hmm.
I don't know if you've ever listened to Travis Schultz and Natalie Z's podcast, but she
No, I
talks
didn't
of
even know they had one.
so, yeah, so they do, they have a great one. They don't do it anymore, I don't think, but um it's Ethan 1 and Gwen 2.
I know who they were. Yeah.
Yeah, and like Natalie Z talks about like how she pretty much decided to leave Passions after like there's a scene where I think she like had hooked up with Ethan and she's like rubbing it in Teresa's face basically like, and she decided to leave at that point because she was like, this is like this, it's always just like this rivalry. Like I'm not competing with her for like business or, anything like that. Like I'm like competing over a man who doesn't want to be with me realistically. And, like rubbing it in this woman's face. Like it basically
Right.
was not like a feminist standpoint in some sense, is basically kind of
Right.
how she said it. And I think that like Passions is very like um I think a lot of the writing is like that, where a lot of the women are like constantly like competing for a man. Like they're not competing for like, a business thing or whatever. It's like, you have Sheridan and Beth fighting over Luis. You have,
Well,
Teresa
Casey,
and
I guess
Glenn.
that kind of answers one of our questions as to why one of the actors chose to leave and everything. That's one of the biggest things that Casey and we always discuss in life and on the show is why some of the actors chose to leave. And some of them, a lot of them, we just don't know and everything. I mean, I found out from Don Swaby while he chose to leave. He told us while on the show and stuff like that. And for a very, very, very long time, there were like rumors, if you know what I mean. There were like rumors going around basically. I found out from Mackenzie that two of these were false or whatever, but I mean, apparently she likes Taylor, who is K number one, very much. I mean, again, she's my favorite K. Mackenzie likes her very, very much. I remember asking Mackenzie, why did Taylor and Deanne decide to leave as K? Because for a long time there were like rumors basically saying that um Taylor and Jesse were in a relationship, and when they broke up, Taylor decided to leave because she had broken up with Jesse, her boyfriend. But then I came to find out from Mackenzie that's not true. Apparently, she left because she was being abused on the show and all of that. And Deanne, I never really got a straight answer on that one. Mackenzie really didn't say exactly why Deanne left, but I had heard rumors that Deanne left because of religious differences and all that stuff, and with there being witchcraft on the show and all that stuff. But Mackenzie said, I really don't think it had anything to do with religious differences, but she didn't tell me what was the reason. So, I mean, that's one of the things that Casey and we always are wondering why these people chose to leave the show and everything. I mean, and some of the actors. I mean, I'm sure. I don't know. I mean, Casey, sweetie, I don't know if you ever spotted this, but I think it's. I mean, it just from the way I watch it, is that a number of these actors, their departures and stuff like that, a number of them exiting. It's just kind of obvious that it's a lead way for a recast. It's just kind of obvious, if you know what I mean. Such as like, when Adrian as Miguel, back when he went by the name Adrian. He goes by a different name now, but Gerardo something, I don't know. But back when he left the show, the very, very minute that he made his exit, and we knew that the show was moving to DirecTV, I was like thinking, this has got to be a way for a recast. It's got to be, or whatever. I mean, why else would they have him leave that way or something like that? So, I mean, some of them were just kind of obvious or whatever that they were going to recast them. I mean, Paloma was different. Paloma had no exit. It was just on NBC, she was Silvana, but once the show moved to DirecTV, boom, we get Anya. So that
Yeah.
one came kind of out of nowhere. So, yeah.
Yeah, you'll have to check out that podcast. I think it's called Passions for Life or something like that. But
Hmm.
um And
I
I
don't
think,
watch very many podcasts, so I really don't. I mean, this is my
Yeah,
first thing
I
having.
would check it out.
yeah, and I think that Travis also talks about why he left. I forgot why. I think it was just very hard on like the material was a lot of like just like the storylines were just
Right.
ridiculous.
Um,
And he had some other stuff going on, I think he talks about. So, but yeah, I just remember very like clearly like Natalie was talking about why she left, and just like the writing and how like I there was some issues also with I think her and um the way that like NBC possibly treated her and stuff like that. So
I mean, it was kind of obvious. I mean, that, Jesse left because he was gonna go off and do Desperate Housewives and all that stuff. So I
love
mean,
Desperate
that one was kind of
Housewives.
obvious. So I was telling as Casey and I watch, I was telling her that it's really 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 kind of shocking for Teresa because from beginning to end of Passions, Ethan and Teresa are the main characters from beginning to end, unlike other soap operas to where the main characters shift. This was all about them from the very beginning of the show to the end. It was like one big story all about them. Other soap operas, the main characters from the beginning sometimes even leave the show or whatever, if you know what I mean. And so they got to make somebody else a main character, the main characters and stuff like that. Well, anyways, um, I actually just find it very, 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 very like wow, interesting or whatever that you would think or whatever that I mean, okay, yeah, Teresa's chasing after Ethan and all that stuff and everything. And like you mentioned, she's doing all these schemes and she's doing all these things and everything just to get the man that she's really, really, really in love with and all that stuff. But I never would have actually thought that she would actually get him, if you know what I mean, or whatever. You would kind of think, or whatever, that you would kind of think, or whatever, that she would go through all of this and everything, and and like do all the scheming and everything, and then she might realize in the end, maybe he's not the guy for me or something like that, and then kind of just move on to somebody else or whatever. And then that does happen, but then what ends up happening? She goes right back to Ethan or whatever, and so it just kind of makes you think like, wow, she actually got him and everything. You never would think or whatever that he would turn out to be like, yeah, the love of her life and everything. That's just so, I mean, even in the beginning of the show, it was a lot more realistic because like in the very beginning of the show, because as you remember, when Ethan and Teresa first meet, Ethan basically thinks of her as his stalker, and that's a realistic thing. That is actually something that would really happen and everything. But it's like, it's just not really that common that you would think of somebody as your stalker and then you fall in love with them, and then before you know it, they're your soulmate for life and everything. And then by the end of the show, even though he's with Gwen, he just can't get away from Teresa. It's like dude, in the beginning you thought she was your stalker, for crying out loud and everything, and now you can't let her go and everything. It's just, who would have ever thought that would actually happen? I mean it I kind of, I really don't know what I actually think when it comes to Kay and Miguel, because, I mean, every single time Kay mentions or whatever that she's been in love with Miguel since she was like, God knows how young, I keep on thinking to myself, what in the hell does she know about love at that age? I mean, seriously, she's just a little kid. What does she know about love and everything? She's too young for that. And all that stuff. And I mean, she flipping changed her image and became a tomboy just to be with him. I mean, and in the end, she got him, if you know what I mean, or whatever. I mean, the same thing with her, as I was thinking for Teresa. I was like thinking, well, maybe as she gets older, maybe she would actually realize that, okay, she tried with Miguel, it didn't work out. She finds somebody else, and that did happen, but it never would have happened if Miguel had never left to go chasing after Charity. That's the only thing that boosted Kay to go to Fox. If Miguel had stayed, she never would have gotten with Fox. So the whole thing of it is just, it's just really, really interesting that just like with Teresa, she goes through all this time or whatever trying to get the man that she's been in love with since she was a freaking kid, too young to even know anything about love, grows up, and she gets him. It's just wow. That's just kind of interesting. You never would have think that that stuff would happen.
I definitely think that like the way that Passions was written, that they had these staple couples that they knew in the end would like have to end up together, like um but I feel like it almost kind of shifted, like, because I think that Kay and Miguel, like, I feel like at one point they were really leading us to think that like he was going to end up with Charity, and
Well,
I don't know if something happened and then Charity chose to like leave the show, and
well, that's yeah, because it really depends. It really, 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 really depends with what you're talking about. It really depends because I don't really know if I believe this. I really don't. But it has been said online by so many people. I get into arguments with people online, if you know what I mean. It is being said by so many people that during the DirecTV run, they were originally going to put Luis back with Sheridan. They actually were going to have Luis and Sheridan end up together, but the show got canceled. So they had no choice but to go with Luis and Fancy. And all I could think to myself is that is a load of bull. That is absolutely a load of bull. And it's got nothing to do with because I'm a Team Fancy shipper. It's got nothing to do with that. It's got to do with everything of the storylines that Luis and Fancy have been through. Why in the world would they just out of nowhere, boom, put him back with Sheridan after everything that he and Fancy have went through? You have to build stuff like that up and everything. You can't just have this long storyline. Everything is going swell, but then all of a sudden say, no, we're going to put you back with this woman and all that. You can't do that. And that's basically what everybody is saying. Everybody is saying they were going to have Luis choose to go back to Sheridan and leave Fancy, but they couldn't because the show got canceled. And I'm like, that just doesn't make any sense.
so I actually do believe that. I do believe that. I've heard that theory too. I do believe it because I think that what happened was they were supposed to like Sheridan was going to show that she's actually Beth, and
I haven't heard that at all.
so that was the theory that I've heard, is that Sheridan was gonna like that the original intended ending was that Sheridan was gonna show that she's actually Beth, and that's why she's acting the way that she is. And then like I think she was like maybe hiding Sheridan somewhere, and so because I think that if you like watched it from the beginning, like Sheridan and Luis had been through everything together. Like they were like soulmates in like several past lives. Like they were like Cleopatra and I mean they were like soulmates in every
I
past
may not
life.
have seen that stuff, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I mean they've been through so much. And so I feel like, and I think Mackenzie has said it in lives too, or like I think she did one with Galen a couple months ago. Where like she hated the ending of how like
I
that
know.
they should
She says
have
that every
ended
time.
up together, because there was
Galen
just
didn't like it neither.
there was so much buildup for them to eventually find their way back to each other that it was like crazy. But yeah, the theory that I've heard is that Beth, they were gonna like they were gonna bring I don't know, is her name Kelly McCarthy?
Kelly McCarty is her name, yeah.
McCarty, yeah,
Yeah.
back for that last season, and there was an issue with like money, and then I think there was an issue of timing because then the show got canceled, so they just had to kind of like wrap up from where
That's
they
exactly
were.
what does happen. You're right. What you read online, Casey and I talk about this all the time. Not right away, but like midway through the final season, the storylines just start wrapping up at rapid speeds. You don't even know what hit you. It's like 1 minute they're here, and the next thing you know, problem solved. Whereas before it would take a while for a problem to get solved. Things just
Yeah,
they
they were
just start
wrapping.
wrapping
They
up.
were wrapping.
Like I
It
said,
was the end.
Spike never even got a wrap up. I think me and Casey, I think we've seen all of Spike. It was just a regular episode. He was just on, he left, we don't see him again. He doesn't get arrested, he doesn't get shot, he doesn't get
No.
killed, he doesn't anything. He's gone or whatever. So you kind of see what I mean. These storylines just start wrapping up at rapid speeds, and you can totally tell it. Yeah, absolutely. But no, I never heard any of that stuff about Beth. I just heard that they were going to actually put Luis and Sheridan back together. But like I said, it just makes no sense. Like, why in the world they would do that? Luis and Fancy, have also been through so much, and he has really, 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 really declared that, you know, he loves Fancy. Why all of a sudden would they just put him back with Sheridan just because? And that's the thing. From what I understand, not only Mackenzie and Galen, but a lot of fans were not really happy with the way the show ended. Outside of Ethan and Teresa, all the other couples, people were not thrilled with how they ended up. Everybody was like, Miguel should have been with Charity, Kay should have been with Fox, Luis should have been with Sheridan, Fancy should have been with Noah. I mean, I guess they were expecting Paloma to just have nobody or whatever, but I mean, that's the thing that really upsets me about this show, is that people need to freaking understand that soap operas. I mean, in the soap world, couples shift. You think everybody on Days of Our Lives is with the same people that they were in the beginning? I mean, or any soap opera for that matter. I mean, almost all the couples have kind of shifted, and that's what happened with Passions. Just because they were together in the beginning doesn't mean that they were meant to be together when the show ended. So I wish people would give it a break. But no, I mean, like I said, I told you on the phone that, I mean, while me and Casey watch, the final season is indeed my favorite season. I love it the most. It had my favorite Miguel. It had some really, really, really interesting storylines, but just watching it now I can understand why people despise the final season so much. I guess
And
go ahead, Casey.
one sad thing about is when Josh Wine Evans passed away. Tammy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was definitely sad.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that was especially, I mean, it was a great, they do a nice little tribute to him at the end and all that stuff and everything, which is great and everything. But yeah, I mean, I unfortunately didn't even see, he wasn't even on when I was watching. So it kind of like, once I started learning about Timmy and everything, I was like, oh, he's that little guy that was in The Grinch and everything. And I was like, I didn't know he was really 20 years old. I I didn't know he was 20 years old. I thought he was an actual little kid when he did the Grinch and all that, but he was just a dwarf. I didn't know that. And so yeah, but at least they did a nice little thing for him in the end and all that, you know. I mean, stuff like that. Um but like I said, I think I just wish that people would just give the show a break and everything. I loved the way that it ended. I felt that all the couples ended up the way that they were meant to be. I mean, Noah and Paloma is my favorite couple, and amazing as it is, Luis and Fancy is my second favorite, even though most people want to burn me with torches whenever I say that. I'll just say this before we run out of time. I'll never forget one time there, I told you that I've spoken to Eric and Galen on those Zoom video things a good number of times, when I actually came out and I actually confessed that I was a team Fancy shipper and everything. He had no, I told him, I'm sorry, I just am. And he goes, don't be sorry, it's all right, it's what you like. And so, but then when I told him my ex-wife, I told him that my ex-wife has always been a team Sheridan shipper before they moved on to another person. He said, I've got one question for you, Joe. Did you and your wife ever fight about Luis and Fancy and Luis and Sheridan? And I said, no, we didn't fight per se, but there was one or two times in the early stages of our marriage before we got divorced to where we might be watching Passions and I might say something out loud. I might say like Luis and Fancy or something like that. And she would go, shut up, you know, like that or something or whatever. But no, we never actually fought or anything. No. But like I said, I like the way the show ended, and I was just telling Casey, I mean, if Passions ever was to get some sort of a reboot, I'm starting to kind of wonder now, how would it even work after what Mackenzie just said the other day? She said that it would be very, very, very more than likely that she would not come back. And she, I mean, not only because she would want Luis and Sheridan back together, but also because she now lives in Vegas. And she said that soap operas just don't pay that well anymore the way they did in the 2000s, and she was abused on the set And I'm like thinking, this is less people. I mean, it's bad enough that we lost Ben Masters and that, we lost Andrea Evans and all that stuff. But now here we've got one of the central characters actually saying that there's a pretty big chance that she wouldn't want to come back. Would we even get a freaking reboot if that's, gonna happen? And nobody knows where Fancy is. Nobody knows where Emily Harper is. And so, yeah, so it just kind of makes me wonder, how would they do it? They can't just recast a lot of these people. Some of them were, yeah. But hey, you know what? Our time is up. My alarm just went off. That's the end of one of our episodes, people. All right. Yes. All right. We found out a good amount of stuff today, thanks to our first guest appearance here or whatever. We found out some good things. We appreciate you appearing today, Akashi. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me.
Yeah, so everybody, once again, thank you all for watching and all. Just like our lovely guest appearance today, if any of you are a big fan of Passions, as me, her, and Casey are, just please, reach out to us, like and subscribe, and comment in the comment sections below. At least I think I'm pointing in the right direction and all that.
Yep.
And I don't know. Am I pointing to hell? Where am I going? So just leave it in the comment section below. Put your name, your social media that you have, and me or Casey, one of us, we will reach out to you, and we would love to hear about your history with the show and stuff that you know and all of that. And we all love you, and it's all because of all of you we're able to keep Harmony alive. It may have been off the air for several years, but it's your support that keeps this show alive for, well, what we have and everything. So be sure to tune in next weekend, same time and everything. We will be here on Sunday, 2 p.m. exclusively on YouTube. Until then, I'm Joe Velasquez.
And Casey Metcalf.
And just remember, you are our passion for life. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you very much. God bless everybody. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
And kiss the lips of the one who could sing so